Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. We're going to take a look at Treylon Burks, number 16 of Arkansas. Ben Solak of the Ringer and I did an RSP film room on him earlier in 2021, and certainly there's a lot to be excited about when you examine his game, because at the college level there's a lot to value about physical skill, and it's 6'3", 230-ish. With this speed to outrun the Alabama defense, that's exciting stuff. But there's a difference between outrunning Alabama defenders on Saturday and being able to make consistent plays with great technique and concepts integrated with your athletic skill on Sundays against veteran players who maybe once went to Alabama and have refined their game. So we're going to take a look at some of the things that he needs to work on. But first, we're going to talk about something that he has improved, and that's this jump back skill. See how he's jumped straight up and down here on this jump back to catch this ball? And he has his hands in a position where he can use overhand technique, and then he ends up taking the hit. Watch it one more time. He turns, jumps straight up in the air, uses the optimal hand technique, takes a hit, gets sandwiched between Alabama defenders, and still comes down with this ball. This is something that he's improved since the last time I've done a film room. See how the hands are, his fingertips pointed up, retracts that ball, takes the hit. That's good work. We want to see more of that from him as we develop. But one thing that's common from 2020 tape and 2021 tape is that he needs to learn to develop a plan against press coverage. You're going to see the man coverage here, slot left, and you're going to see how he extends his arm there. And it looks at first when you watch this play that the quarterback just overthrew Treylon Burks. But if you examine it a few more times, what you're going to notice is that Treylon Burks is about a half step to a quarter step late at best, let's say. At worst, he's a full step late. But if we're going to be generous, we'll say he's a quarter step to a half step late. And the reason that is when you go back to look at this, watch how he extends his hand without needing to. He's going to extend it right there. When you extend your arm like that, you're slowing yourself down. And I would say conservatively, if we're going to be generous to Burks, it's by a quarter to a half a step. And he didn't need to put his hands out there like that. The defender, you don't want to anticipate the defender's hands. You let the defender shoot, and then you counter if need be. But on a slant like this, you can run through this, because if he contacts Burks right here, this is illegal contact, at the very least. And so Burks here slows himself down unnecessarily, and as a result of that, he's late to the spot that the quarterback throws it. And now he's going to have to make a much harder catch by extending his arms, and he's going to have to do it through contact, being late. And as a result of that, now he's going to be reaching for this ball rather than it being right on him. And he's got to reach for it at a late window, meaning that the window isn't in front of him, to his quarterback side shoulder. It's now to the downfield shoulder, which is a harder target to have to catch. And it's all because right here he extends that arm, he anticipates the defender's contact rather than just working through that. And this is a problem with Burks, is just having the right kind of plan against press coverage. He's used a lot in the ways that you see Deebo Samuel and Cordero Patterson used in at least last year, but there are only two offenses that have done that. And while certainly offenses will try to use some of the things that, some of those similar things with Burks, you also want him to be a guy who can win against press coverage. And you're going to see here, I think this is a different play we're going to take a look at here. Yeah, and you watch this one. This is at the end of the game. It's 3rd down and 15. This is their chance to shine here and to be able to drive down the field and retake the lead. And the quarterback looks to his right, then comes back to his left, and now has to scramble. Why does he have to scramble? Because look at Burks' slot left. The defender's playing inside shade off of him, and Burks doesn't have a plan. His decision is to literally just try and run over the defender. And you can see the quarterback here, he's looking to his right, but comes back to his left and sees that Burks is not free from the defender. Burks chose to try and run through the man. Even if he was successful, the quarterback sees that and knows that he's covered. Even if the man fell down, he would have to look at this and judge at the point that he looked at it that Burks is not open. And Burks wasn't going to get open here. And this is a common issue with Burks' game when he has to face man-to-man coverage or coverage that is going to get a jam on him, because he has basically one move at best that he uses predictably. And that's, and that comes with a little bit of a wipe and maybe a two-step release. Here, he doesn't feel like he has a plan because he sees the defender's in position where he wants to go, and he doesn't seem confident about trying to do something that can manipulate that man. But there's this wide open middle of the field if he wins right there. And instead, he just chooses to be a blunt weapon, which isn't going to work against pro cornerbacks most of the time. And, as we know, LSU's cornerbacks, Alabama's cornerbacks, a lot of these guys are first-round picks or future first-round picks in terms of the skills, at least in recent years we've seen. So Burks is going to really have to get better at developing different moves and understanding that when a defender has leverage like this, that he's going to have to, develop in a way where that he can have a bigger repertoire. You're going to see him at the top of the screen here now, and you're going to see this little double move here, and he gets tied up with what he's trying to do with his hand. Now, we understand that this is a run play, but again, it's indicative of what I've seen on pass plays with him, is that here's the defender. Defender's going to shoot his hand into the upper body of Burks as Burks drops his body into that double move. And see how the hand is up at the upper body here? Burks should know or learn that when the defender gets the jam high, he should be coming up from underneath with a hand movement, which could be a rip or a shed, as opposed to trying to swim over top, which is what he does on this play. He tries to either wipe or swim, bringing that left arm, that inside arm, over the top. And when he does that, he gets hung up right here. He should just seamlessly be able to run through using an underhand counter maneuver with his arm, and he doesn't do that. And this is a common flaw with him because he's used a lot as kind of a scat back, running back guy in, space player, a satellite type of receiver who's in wide open space. But when teams ask him to do this type of work one-on-one against tight man coverage or against anyone who's going to jam him, he's going to struggle, and it's going to take him a little bit of time to develop a repertoire if he ever does. And that's the type of thing that could make him a little bit more disappointing as an every down primary receiver who can be independent of scheme. Now, scheme him up as a satellite threat, as a runner, as a kind of a do-it-all player who you can get into space. He has a lot of upside right there. Now, we're going to take a look at him down below, slot left. On this play, he's going to head towards these two linebackers underneath. And in zone coverage, when you have a narrow side of the field to the right here, this is a point where he should look at this flat side linebacker on the right and know that he needs to slow down. He needs to settle between these two linebackers for the quarterback. And see, the quarterback begins to look back to him right here. But Burks doesn't settle. He continues running, and he's going to run right into this linebacker, and that's going to force the quarterback to hold on to the ball, have to avoid pressure, and now run. And he's not going to be able to be successful. He's going to have to throw this ball away and scramble. And Burks is, at this point, because he ran towards that linebacker, he was late to have to adjust anyhow. So, again, this is another area where Burks is going to have to improve, is just developing with zone coverage and reading the zone in the way where that he understands when to settle and when to continue to tempo his break. Promising player, but things to work on. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, Matt Waldman's RSP Film Room, and my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.